Lily Phillips broke the internet when she slept with 100 guys, and then Bonnie Blue came along and slept with 1,000. But really, who is the best OnlyFans creator? My name's Liam Turnbull, CEO here at TDM, and in the last 5 years, we've grown over 100 creators to the top 0.1%. And today we're going to break down their funnels, because ultimately any great business starts with funnel hacking. And so we're going to take a look at branding, content strategy, the conversion via the funnel, and then the OF page and how that's actually being ran. Now, of course, both creators are branded somewhat similarly, but there are distinct differences between the two. Lily strikes me as quite an authentic character. She brings across this whole good girl gone bad vibe, and you almost feel like it's not where she's meant to be. This wasn't her destiny. She's gone down a different path. It comes across quite authentic, whereas Bonnie is very much where she belongs. You can see that she thrives in the environment. She loves it both on camera and off, I imagine. And so you can tell that she authentically likes being a part of this branding, but in a very different way to Lily. Because Bonnie is very much in her comfort zone, she will likely go out and do crazier content, right? She'll probably find more guys, she'll probably do more stuff with them, she'll probably find better and crazier locations. And so I think at the end of the day, she's probably gonna have more eyeballs on her. But where I think Lily will compete with that is that she comes across super authentic. And so every eyeball that's on her is probably gonna be worth more to her. I anticipate the LTV on her page is actually gonna be much higher, because people will bond with the relation that they can build with her and not just the content they can watch. Now, when it comes to their content, both creators absolutely thrive from the numerical specificity that they have. They're pushing out 100 guys, 1,000 guys in hour, 24 hours, whatever it might be. Now, both creators absolutely thrive from the shock value and numerical specificity of the content that they produce. It's 100 guys, it's 1,000 guys, and it's so much more effective than just saying a lot of guys, a number of guys, a few guys, right? The specificity of 1,000 in 12 hours or whatever it might be, or even, into the details, 1,057, 101. It creates such shock value because you believe it. And in a society where we're surrounded by clickbait and people that want to convey something they haven't really done, actually you read their titles, you read the stories, you read the headlines, and you think, fuck, she actually did that. But neither of them seem to do some of the basics right as an OnlyFans creator. They don't post daily, they don't keep the story active, they don't optimize the funnel. Things that we think as an agency are absolute basics. Their personalities show separation again in the type of content that they actually produce as well, because we can see that all of Bonnie's content, especially on X, is very much just around what she's up to, right? It's filming essentially all of the different sex tapes that she's filmed and posting clips of those. Whereas we still see that Lily is actually a bit of an influencer. I think she likes being a normal girl as well, right? We don't see that side of Bonnie really. We see a few reels, we see some things popping up here and there, but the reality is all of her content is focused around the 1,057 and all of these different guys, these schoolies, etc., right? The barely legal, whatever it might be. That's her content, whereas Lily has kind of two sides. And I read between the lines and can see, as someone who analyzes lots of creators every single day, that actually there is a girl in there who wants to be normal, who wants to produce normal content as well. And so we're kind of doing two things at once here, which I think is why Bonnie's actually growing faster. I think a lot of Lily's initial success came about because she was first on the scene, first to produce this kind of content. Now, authenticity wins, right? We know that for sure. So her being first on the scene will have definitely given her a kickstart. But then she's also done the documentary, came out in December 24. I think that was exceptional. I think that brought to life actually, wow, what the fuck is going on here? But because a lot of people had already seen that, when Bonnie came along, there was less initial shock value. She was almost like the second Lily Phillips. Either way, both creators are going to be absolutely crushing it as far as traffic's concerned, and the subscribers are going to be rolling in regardless of these little details. Which is why, for me, I was so concerned when I initially scoped out that neither of these creators had optimized their funnel. And in fact, to this day, Lily still hasn't done that. In Lily's Instagram bio, she actually has a links page in which there's a Linktree. Now, I don't even know where to start with Linktree, because the impact on conversion from using Linktree is astronomical. It is such a bad, in fact, the worst bio link that I've seen in a long time. Firstly, we are prompted with a date of birth. We're prompted with a cookies request. We're prompted with a sensitive content reminder, all before we can even access the link anyway. It's also not cloaked, and so we don't have the guarantee guaranteed safety that a cloak link would give us as far as the crawlers on the social platforms trying to understand what that link's there to do. It's not deeped, so we're not able to get right through and again increase conversion, because simplicity ultimately drives action, which we'll come back to again. And so if it wasn't bad enough that we're using Linktree and having to deal with all these steps that ultimately is going to put someone off because they can't be asked to put their birthday in when they're ready to jerk off, it actually gets worse, because then we find a bunch of other links in that Linktree as well. So even if they do get onto the Linktree, they might have just clicked off and gone to other social profiles anyway. So Lily needs to take a leaf out of Hick's Law's book. She needs to streamline the funnel, she needs to make things a little bit easier, and she needs to essentially fix the guaranteed leaks in her bucket. This is just a massive blunder, to be honest, whereas Bonnie has at least fixed this blunder in recent weeks. If I'd filmed this video a few weeks back, I'd have said the same thing for Bonnie, but I think she's recently joined an agency or a new agency or something, and it seems that they've completely changed the way they do things. We've now got Get All My Links, which is great. It's both cloaked and deep, so it takes you straight to the OnlyFans page. So I'm much more pleased with that. You know, that is a much more direct funnel. I'm sure it was noticeable, because conversion is a little detail when you've got a small page, but when you've got that amount of traffic, she could literally be parting ways with thousands of fans that just can't be asked to get through the funnel. So I'm glad that she's finally fixed that. The only thing is though, if I were to nitpick, when you do click through to the OnlyFans page, there are links to other pages in there where the links don't actually work. So again, the funnel kind of breaks at the next step, because the plan is to redirect to other pages in which the links are actually wrong. I don't know if it's because they're playing around with their tracking links, but to me, again, with such a volume of traffic, this is a blunder. Either way though, funnel is an easy fix and it's nothing that they can't overcome. Whereas the OnlyFans strategies are a little bit more problematic, and there is a distinct difference again between their personalities. That good girl gone bad, shy side of Lily's personality really comes through with the way that the page is ran. It's a very subtle advocation for buying content. It's a very generous page. The value for money is actually exceptional. You get a lot for your $4 subscription, and you would likely be very happy and continue to pay that. And we're also treated very well as well, which I think is ultimately the biggest difference here, because when we contrast that to Bonnie's page, the service just isn't the same. It's very much the typical overpromise, underdeliver, tease your videos, upsell all of the content, focus on the offer that gets somebody in where they're ultimately going to end up dissatisfied. We see this a lot with Bonnie's page. There's a lot of public complaints, there's a lot of issues, and I can understand why. Even just seeing the initial promotion of 18 full-length sex tapes that are then actually broken down into majority teasers for upsells on the other page, it just gets off on the wrong foot, and it just starts a relationship with people that will likely end badly. There's simply just less value for money, because we're also paying a higher subscription price here. So where there's less value for money concerned, and then you actually throw on top of that very clearly Asian chatter, it really does just cock things up. And I imagine that the churn rate on that page is super, super high. Okay, I imagine that Lily's retention is way higher, and therefore I actually think her LTV could be stronger. Even though she's taking on a slightly smaller subscription price, she's probably absorbing slightly less traffic. She's also selling a whole lot less in the way that the page is ran. I actually think, as far as making the most out of the subs that are there, Lily will be doing a better job than Bonnie will be. Now, both creators will ultimately have fans that dream outcome is to have sex with them. And in any case, the value equation is simply the dream outcome times by the perceived likelihood of achievement, right? That's the core principle. And my issue with Bonnie's page is that the Asian chatters on there are closing down that dream outcome, moving everything over to basically how can they make money, which I totally sympathize with. That's the role of a chatter to an extent, but at the expense of authenticity, at the expense of the dream outcome, to me is ineffective chatting. And I guess that's why the LTV is probably quite low over here relative to where it could be with a strategy like Lily's. But then of course Lily's concern is that we have someone who is competing in the same marketplace, right, trying to push on the crazy content against someone who's way crazier over here in Bonnie. So with all that said, who is the better OnlyFans creator? Is it Lily Phillips or is it Bonnie Blue? Now, in almost any industry, I would side with Lily Phillips, because I am confident that she will have a higher LTV, and I'm confident that she will have a lower churn rate, which in itself is essentially more money. But my concern is that because she was first on the marketplace, she had the documentary, she was essentially the first to do it, and Bonnie has already come along, garnered as many followers, is in as many news articles, and essentially as big as Lily Phillips, I would actually say that Bonnie has done a better job and is therefore the better creator, based on the fact that she's got to the same standard, if not slightly more, and so in this case, Bonnie wins. Interestingly enough, just as we were about to upload this video, Bonnie Blue has been banned from the platform, which, if you ask me, was coming for quite a while, because she has continued to push against the narrative that the platform have wanted to create around them being a more safer work platform, a more typical social media. And in any case, if you continue to take the piss out of a platform, they will make an example of you. So a lot of the points that I said in this video are absolutely true and remain regardless of the situation. But I think the context that need be applied is that you have to understand the goals of the platform that you're looking to take advantage of and how you fit into those goals. If you want to take the platform by storm, make sure that you align with the narrative. Make sure that the platform are as on side as they can be. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.